are listening to Next Level Thinking on St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9.
Welcome back, listeners, to Next Level Thinking. We are discussing humor today. Before the break in the first segment, we discussed what types of humor there are, what forms of humor there is. But we realized that humor is not just about the entertainment, it's also about connecting, right? It's also about different things. Connecting is one of them.
Connecting, not only about sharing humor and laughter together, but it is something that, you mentioned it before, Stephanie, that people look for that, finding a mate. Right? So that same kind of humor, that same humor style, it is a way to connect because you're talking on that same level, you share thoughts, but you can also share thoughts that are difficult because we laugh about difficult things as well. Sometimes certain topics are difficult to discuss, but making a joke about it is like that icebreaker.
Exactly, making light out of that situation a little bit, relieving
get the discussion going, and so in that sense, it's a way of connection too.
Yeah,
discussing difficult things in life.
Yeah, no, definitely. I recognize that sometimes it's easier. It makes it easier. It makes that threshold that there might be that it's, oh gosh, this is such a difficult topic. This is so hard. To make light of the situation in a sense without discrediting the situation, without not taking it serious, but still.
And without a judgment.
Exactly.
Because I think when you make a joke, people notice that it is a joke. They also know that you don't have a judgment or opinion,
right.
Or, you just start with an open, open
I think
discussion.
that's also something very important with humor is the proper timing, indeed.
Oh, definitely.
And see where the joke is appropriate.
Where it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also interesting because not everybody feels that the same. So sometimes a joke can come too soon for one person and then okay for the other. So you gotta really fine tune what is appropriate.
You see it often, or I've experienced it often. For example, at funerals or when someone passes away, there is this moment of grief that everyone is really sad. But there is this transition period where people start to make jokes about the person, tell stories and remember the good times, the funny times about this person. And that is also in a way making it lighter.
Yeah.
And remembering that person in a different way, but using humor to do so.
I recognize that sometimes after funerals, indeed, that, the get together turns out to be so much fun afterwards. And that is so contradictory in the beginning. You're like, we're all sad. But that moment where you have that laugh, that smile, that also gives so much relief.
Exactly.
And that connection again. So it can be a very helpful tool. Those stories indeed, and remembering that person and smiling about that person, that does good to the heart.
Yeah.
But timing and making a joke in an awkward situation, sometimes you see too that, for example, at funeral, that people laugh at the moment where you should not laugh.
Yeah, that's then more coping style, right? And that's not really humor per se, but more the coping style of not knowing how to express.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just start laughing.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, that can be indeed not knowing about how to express your sadness or feeling uncomfortable. And then, sometimes you can have the oppositional reaction. And that's also what people who had a stroke, by the way. Sometimes they, because their brain is damaged, for example, at the emotional level, and their emotions can be totally turned around. Mm-hmm. So they can just start laughing uncontrollably, and then people are like, what are you laughing about? And but that's not because they want to. Maybe they're even sad. Mm-hmm. Because they have no control over their feelings if your part of your brain is damaged on that level. So sometimes seeing people laugh doesn't have to mean that that they're laughing at a joke or something. So laughter and humor is connected, but doesn't always have to be.
Not always the same, right? And what about defense for fear and anxiety? I think one of Woody Allen's comments were, it's not that I'm afraid to die, I just don't want to be there when it happens. Mm-hmm. So kind of a way of dealing with, okay, this is a really threatening and scary situation. I'm actually scared to death. But let me make light of the situation. And this is my defense to decrease that fear or to be able to deal with that anxiety at that point in time.
It's to make it a little bit absurd, right? It's
Exactly.
like, I don't want to be there when I'm there. Yeah, you're gonna be, but you're also dying, but then you're leaving. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that how people make that kind of jokes. But also, like, sometimes, is it too soon yet to make the joke? That comment already can make you laugh at that moment, right? Or not, because then it really is too soon.
Yeah.
But by laughing in those kind of situations, you also send a signal to your brain that because laughing tells you something about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be as scary as you would think it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So laughing is activating a part in your brain that's also helping you to relieve that stress.
And it makes me think about
better.
last episode, when we talked about happiness, that we said laughter is contagious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that if you laugh, the other person also starts to laugh. Why was that again? What had that? Something with our brain?
Yeah, the mirror neurons.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So like in having empathy for somebody, when people feel sad or you see a sad movie, people crying, what do you start to do on the couch? Crying, get your tissues,
Right.
But that happens too with laughter. If somebody starts to laugh, other people start to laugh as well. There is a video of a guy, I think in a metro or a train or something, and he just starts laughing out of nowhere. And people are looking like, what's going on here? And at a certain moment, you see that other people are going to start laughing as well.
Yeah.
And suddenly all the passengers in the train are laughing.
Oh yeah, and
Because of nothing.
I hear you smiling as well at this moment,
exactly.
right? You're almost laughing from the memory itself.
So it has that social function, right? It's a very important basis for social cohesion, where you connect with someone else through humor, through laughter. You see that in babies and infants playing peekaboo.
Those movies between the young children and the parents and the laughter and
Exactly.
that they're doing cuckoo and then he's like hee and then laughing and that keeps going and then you start to laugh yourself because that child is just laughing uncontrollably from their parents just making a funny face.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there your emotional development starts, just by that first laugh and seeing that the other person laughs back at you. That's where the connection starts and where you grow mirroring those emotions.
Exactly.
Did you know that I read somewhere that first they said that the smile is an automatic response, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we, as babies, just do that. And it's not that we're really smiling, but it could be a parent's face. It could also be a broomstick or whatever. And that was not really helpful for the parents to know, like, okay, I don't know if he's smiling at me or not. But I read recently a research that the social impact is more important than we thought at first. So that it does matter if it's a parent or a broomstick. So it is that baby is really giving you that smile. That's good to know for your parents out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That it really does matter if it's you or somebody else.
Right.
The child is more programmed to be oriented to you.
So it's really that social connection that they are looking for in that attachment with parent.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
Wow.
And also the what was it again?
The mirror.
Neuron neurons. Like that's a word joke. No. But in that sense, that is already activating at that moment or activated at that moment. And that already goes to show how important it is to smile with each other every now and then.
Yeah.
And laughter is something universal.
Exactly.
It's in every language people laugh.
And that's the interesting part. That's true. Everybody laugh, and it also gives you that connection. You don't even need words for it. If you share that smile, you already feel that connection, whether you're speaking Chinese or English or French or whatever. Or like Joey from the episode that I was talking about, trying to speak French.
Right.
But humor, in that sense, is also, the use of humor is universal. But I don't think humor itself is universal.
No, I think...
You mean the kind of jokes?
I think the kind of jokes change across cultures, but I do think that exactly that laughter, that basic connection through fun. I mean, you see it with kids, for example, when kids meet each other on vacation. One child can be speaking Greek and the other one can be speaking Chinese. But because kids look for joy, they look for shared joy, they play. So they'll find a way to connect and communicate. And it's just by having fun and laughing together and sharing humor.
Yeah, indeed.
So that's very interesting how we see that humor is such an important factor in connecting people together, in having that universal connection and having that connection between a parent and a child, that basic importance of humor, actually. Doesn't matter whatever language you speak, laughter is a part of it. And also how humor changes over time and cultures. We didn't go into that too deeply, but I do agree. I think between cultures, there is probably a different type of humor that we use. But it's in all cultures, it's a way to connect. In the next segment, we'll talk a little bit more about humor as a coping strategy. So stay tuned to Government Radio 107.9.